Okay, so what we have here is this is the amp that came out of a Randall Warhead. It's the 212 combo. It's the Dimebag Darrell signature combo amp. But my brother has owned this amp for probably, I don't know, 15 or 20 years. And probably 15 years ago, we were playing a gig and there was a problem with the power and there was a power surge and this thing made a loud pop and it just died. And so after that, we had basically, I don't have the cabinet here, I've only got the amp, but the cabinet, it mounts in the top of the combo amp cabinet. But after that happened, we basically just disconnected the power amp connection that connects from the back of the amp to the speakers that are in the cabinet, and he had basically just used it as an extension cabinet for a different guitar amp. He would just set the head right on top of the cabinet. So fairly recently, we decided to crack this thing open and see if we could figure out what was wrong, and I just thought I would show a quick video to tell you what all I found that was wrong with this thing. So first off, there was a blown capacitor, and you can see it's this capacitor right here. I had to replace this capacitor. You can see I had to like heat up and cut away the glue. I've got like a little heat knife tool. It's almost like a soldering iron, except it has like a sharp blade. I had to like heat that up a little bit and remove some of that glue and just kind of cut it away. But this capacitor, it was the top of it was literally like blown out. Again, he was playing, we were playing a gig or setting up for the gig, and there were some power problems, and so it was just a power surge, and this thing popped and just died. And from that point on, when you turn the power switch on, you'd get nothing anywhere. So I replaced that capacitor. Then I found these two. I used my multi-tester to just test. I saw a few of these fuses. These you can see were okay, but these two ceramic fuses, both of these were also blown. So I just, read the numbers off of the, and took measurements and ordered replacement fuses. So I replaced those fuses. After replacing that, and to replace this capacitor, I had to unhook all of these wires. You've got all these little wiring harnesses. Just take lots of pictures before you unhook anything if you have to do something like this. Then I had to remove this circuit board because the solder connection for that capacitor is on the bottom of that circuit board. So I had to remove that circuit board, to desolder, remove the old capacitor. And again, just order a capacitor. I got one off eBay. I got those fuses off eBay. So I replaced the capacitor, the fuses. Then when I did that, one more thing. You'll see this knob doesn't match. The reason is that the previous owner of this amp, this is the volume or the level for the lead channel. This was broken smooth off, like the knob and the little potentiometer. It was just broken smooth, clean off, flush with the front of the amp here. So I also had to remove this circuit board. I had to remove all the knobs. You just have to pry the knobs loose gently with a little screwdriver, and then remove the little nuts behind each knob, and then remove all these ribbon cables. Again, wiring harnesses, and after removing these nuts, that's what's holding this circuit board in place. So I was able to just rock it back out of there, remove it. So I had to replace this knob, or this potentiometer, since it was broken off, and replaced it with a non-matching knob here for now until we can get a match for it. So did all that. After doing all that, I turned everything on and I started getting power to this board again, but I still wasn't getting signal all the time. I started fiddling with knobs, and all of a sudden it made a pop and it started working again. And I thought, oh, okay, but there still seemed to be an intermittent short. And so after fiddling around with that, at first I thought it was one of these knobs, because when I was turning one of these knobs that all of a sudden I heard a pop and started getting sound again. But what I discovered, or the next time I tried it, it still wasn't working, or it wasn't working consistently. And what I discovered is this thing has an effects send and return. And what I discovered was this is an old trick to test for a problem with the effects loop. Is just take a cable. Well, first off, I plugged my guitar straight into the effects return, and I was getting signal. I was just getting clean signal directly from the guitar pickups to the straight into the power amp. So I knew the power amp section was working. I knew it had to be a problem with the preamp. So this is an old trick. You can just take a short patch cable, plug it right from the effects send, just looped over into the return. And what I discovered was whenever I had the amp on and was playing my guitar, if I would kind of pop that cable in and out while I was playing, it started making a popping noise, and boom, all of a sudden I started getting sound. And it's so obvious. So then, just to try, I think maybe there was just some corrosion because this amp's a few years old, hasn't been used a lot. I just took a cable and I just inserted this cable in and out of both of those jacks repeatedly a number of times to try to, kind of work it loose and maybe clean it a little bit. It still might need a more thorough cleaning, but for now, it's working. It's working with the cable in place or without the cable in place, so that whatever that problem was seems to kind of have worked itself out, but that's something else to check for. So, so this amp, which had been out of commission since probably 2005, so 17 years, if memory serves me. So it's back working again. So now all we have to do is mount it back in the cabinet, and it should be good to go. So I hope this helps someone. If so, then please like and subscribe. Thanks.